Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Shirtless Plantain Show. Emily's cat is part of this intro as well. This is your host, Mitch. We're here to talk about the Olympics. I'm here with Emily. Hi, Emily. How are you?
Good. That was so funny. The second you hit record, he goes,
He just immediately starts knocking shit over. It's
yeah.
what cats do. There's a reason I close Echo out of the room when I'm recording this.
I don't, well, not to I record where his litter box is, so he kind of needs access.
Yeah, that's fair. The nice thing about him being technically my roommate's cat is that he doesn't need access to my room. So
Yeah.
that is lovely. No cats interrupting on this side. But let's get into talking about the Olympics. And we're going to start out where you are most confident and watched all the games,
Yeah.
which is the U.S. men's national team at the Olympics. We talked a little bit with Jeff when he was on a little bit ago, and Mateus and I have talked about like the squad and how it's kind of evolved going into these games, and the expectations for this team obviously are very different than the women at the Olympics and then the men at Copa America. Mostly just because of the nature of a U23 tournament. Teams aren't sending their best players. Even the best U23 players aren't often at the Olympics. So it's kind of a unique tournament in that aspect. And I think expectations are kind of low about this team. That being said, through the group stage, I would say it's been a resounding success so far. It did not start out pretty. We got thumped against France in the first game, which I think was very easy to maybe hit a panic button. And if you're a U.S. men's national team account on Twitter, you sure did. You're great at that. Keep it up, boys. You guys are wonderful at hitting that panic button. Good job. Keep it up.
We need more people who are just simply reactive,
We don't. We really don't. I think we have more than enough reactive people in sports spaces. But after a very disappointing opening game, which I need to add some context that it was actually a pretty decent performance.
Mm-hmm.
A 3-0 doesn't look good. It's very clear. But it was 0-0 at the half. The U.S. created some solid opportunities, and it was like a textbook soccer game where a team that shouldn't be winning plays pretty well, doesn't score, and then loses the game because the other team decides to turn it on. The other team has players like Michael Elise, who just went to Bayern for $50 million. Like, that is... like
I'm just laughing at like the comparison.
Yeah, like I love Tanner Tessman. He's not as good as Michael Elise. Like, no. It's just simple as that. And I think it's a real credit to Mitrovic, the head coach, and just how this team has conducted themselves to be able to bounce back, because they bounce back in a big way. The immediate next game, which, I mean, as good as anyone just from following the women's team, of just how compact this schedule is, has to help the teams, both the men and women, in some regards. When you're coming off a loss, you can immediately come back to it and be like, we're immediately going to bounce back. And they immediately did that to even their goal differential. They won 4-1 against New Zealand. Great performance. And then won 3-0 against Guinea to cap off the group, finishing the group with 6 points, getting second behind France. Exactly what you need to do after the opening game. Very easily could have been a situation where they got smacked, all the confidence is gone, their heads drop, and they just start losing again. But this team showed like some serious maturity, some serious talent to be able to win these games, and it's credit to Mitrovic, it's credit to these players. Tanner Tessman has captained them well. All of the overage picks have all been really good. Zimmerman and Miles Robinson have shown real maturity in the back, especially after shipping 3 goals in the first game. And Jordi Mihalovic has been great. Scored twice in the group stage, both from dead ball situations. The first being a penalty and the second being a direct free kick, which, you don't see direct free kicks get scored very often. So you have to give credit to players when they score them.
Not by Americans, yeah.
Not by Americans. Kevin Paredes was very, very impressive for this team in the group stage. He scored 2 goals against Guinea, and it was his second one in particular was a fucking banger. Tessman's been great. Busio was really good in the first 2 games. and hopefully his injury is not serious where he can be back for the knockouts. But now the U.S. are out of the group, and they're in a good opportunity where they could potentially medal. If the U.S. men manage to medal, like, that is a huge accomplishment. It really kind of parallels to me like gymnastics at the Olympics. How the women have been the consistent storyline and the dominant force, and the men have kind of been there. And the men this year got a bronze medal and have been a storyline.
Who on the U23 men's team is like the pommel horse guy?
Who's the pommel horse guy?
Who's going to bring it home for us?
I don't know. Okay, I guess it's a good description of who's going to bring it home for us, as opposed to who's really good at one specific thing and is here to do that one specific thing.
Who's just the closer?
I mean, I could see it being Duncan McGuire, because he hasn't in the he's our one striker on the roster, and he didn't start against Guinea. We opted for a little bit more of a false nine, and I think that there's certain situations where a true number 9 is really going to be able to make something happen. I wouldn't be surprised if Mitrovic goes with a false 9 again against Morocco, which by the time this episode's come out, it'll probably already have passed.
It'll have happened.
Because we're recording this on a Thursday night, and this game is Friday morning. But I could see, if the U.S. somehow medals, I could see Duncan McGuire being that pommel horse specialist for the U.S. men's team, which would be very cool.
Honestly, I think they should just treat tomorrow like a final, because once you're into the semis, like, you're into one of the medaling games. So,
for sure.
Obviously, when you see the other two teams that you're going to face in the bracket, most likely Spain is going to be in that semifinal. Like, just give it your all today, because you're not beating Spain.
Yeah, for sure. And we're also playing in a team that's in this spot in a weird way. Like, Morocco won their first game against Argentina in one of the strangest things I've seen in soccer, which is a 2-hour intermission to play 2 minutes during a VAR check. VAR's had a very weird tournament for both the men and women, which we'll get into that when we talk about the women's Australia game. But a great group stage from the men, a great start to this tournament, and I think it helps to not have super high expectations, but it's been
that's the best way to go into it.
It's a different tournament than it is like for a senior side. And so credit to these guys. They're playing great. And fuck all U.S. men's national teams accounts for being reactive. They were calling Jordy a Make-A-Wish kid after that first game, which is crazy to me, because he wasn't that bad. And then now he scored 2 goals in the other game. So get fucked. Colorado Rapids are international. Let's go.
This is when I'm like, bring back that Katie Nolan sketch where she would have those guys who'd be like, I could make that field goal, and she brought them into have them do it. Let's see these guys take a free kick or a penalty or something.
Quick aside on that, where the classic you need to have one normal person in the Olympics to be a just
so we can see how good everyone else is.
I was watching the 1500 yesterday. I'm going to use this as my quick opportunity to talk about swimming, because I fucking love Olympic swimming, of just Katie Ledecky destroying serious professionals in that event. I swam my entire life. I think I could barely finish a 1500. I think a normal person could not finish that race.
They would drown.
I truly think they would drown. The Olympic lifeguards would have the first opportunity to make a save their entire career, because the whole argument is stupid of having one normal person competing among Olympians.
It would be funny though. It's not related. Nikki Stanton of OL Reign posted her doing gymnastics from, I don't know, when she was a child, and it was a very funny routine on TikTok, if you can see it. She's like, I can't believe I didn't make it to Paris. Why did they select me?
She was so close.
Check out her floor routine.
I guess maybe we'll we're not putting a link in the description. That's not going to happen.
Check out the link below.
Yeah, there's no fucking way that I'm going to make Coach do that.
Fucking Google Nikki Stanton. Yeah. You'll find it.
All right. Do some fucking work, people. Come on.
We can do it all for you.
All right, let's move on to the real attraction of soccer at the Olympics, and that is the U.S. Women's National Team being back, being well and truly back.
We're so bad.
We're the best team in the world. We're never losing again.
You know what's funny
Emily,
that you're saying that though is like I now see people being like, oh yeah, like people who, well, no, Tim Stillman's not like a hater or anything. He's always calling things fair, but he's like, oh yeah, like Germany, US, like definitely teams that are two of the best by far in the world. I'm like, well, since when are people saying this now? Well, yeah, thanks, Tim. But it's just funny how recently, mostly English people, Europeans who were dancing on our grave, you know.
Well, I seem to remember you being pretty down in the dumps prior to the Olympics. You tried talking shit, and you expect me not to pull that back at you? Come on, I was here.
Whoa! I never talk shit. It's always about protecting me. This is what you have to remember. Yeah. Well, I want to protect myself from getting my hopes up and then being crushed by, the performances that I lived through last Olympics and last World Cup. And I want to protect myself from being dunked on by other people by being like, not a humble person like I am. I need to carry myself with humility. So I speak with humility on the U.S. Women's National Team. And although they probably had the perfect start, this is what we would have hoped for and more. Never would have thought we would perform about Germany this way. And yet I sit here with unease about the coming weekend. Yeah. So we can talk about that, but.
Well, I mean, after two send-off games that were less than ideal in terms of scoring, especially in terms of scoring goals, we proceeded to score 9 goals in 3 games, which is pretty good. You take that 100%.
I believe the most of the teams there.
That would not surprise me at all. We were very, very good in this group stage, and we started out with a 3-0 win against Zambia. I think one thing about just women's soccer in general in the Olympics is because it's a very small field, field of teams, not physical field.
That's a small field.
I want it to be as clear as possible. No, I don't want someone to listen to this episode.
Dumb bros out there who think women play on smaller fields.
I don't want to I don't want people to be thinking I'm talking about the actual soccer field being smaller. So I want to be as clear as possible. I just want to be clear. This is supposed to be good podcasting, but now we've lingered on this for 30 seconds. Sorry. So now it's bad podcasting.
It's a tenet of journalism to be accurate. So
yes, of course.
I appreciate that.
And as a very professional journalist as I am, I needed to do that. I think with a smaller amount of teams, it makes every group a group of death.
Yeah.
Looking at this group going into the Olympics, it looked fucking scary, and it was. Zambia, Germany, Australia are 3 very, very good international teams. We had to face a player that has made every defender in the NWSL shit their fucking pants every game in Barbara Banda. And we held her nothing.
Yeah. We all saw, and I certainly saw, how it could go very badly for us with Barbara Banda and Rachel Kundananji up there. And you saw, I think, against Australia, probably the worst case scenario of that happening.
Oh, yeah.
Despite them.
Chaos game.
Despite them somehow fucking winning anyway. No, and I think we were the team in our group that handled them the best. They didn't score on us, kept a clean sheet. There might have been some moments of danger, but I think Naomi and Tierna really bossed it in their 1v1s. I was hell yeah for tackles and winning duels. And it was just it kind of confirmed my trust in that pairing. I mean, we might not have that pairing in our quarterfinal game, which we'll discuss, but it definitely confirmed. And then Crystal Dunn, who we weren't sure because Jenna Niswanger had been playing so much at left back recently. And of course, Crystal was listed as a forward going into the tournament, which I think was just subterfuge. And I also think was like some kind of psychological trick that Emma Hayes pulled on Crystal to be like, you are a forward, but
I think it was. I think I have to imagine Emma Hayes was very upfront with Crystal Dunn about like where she was going to be played.
I'm kidding.
I imagine it's more of a like her being listed as a forward was like we gotta list her with some position group because we can't just list Crystal as soccer player, which is what she is.
She is soccer player. She is play any line. No, but I think she has like I don't know. She's played to a standard or just like re-energized. She's just like the Crystal that you know and love, but the defense. Well, obviously, I think also Emma made a decision like Crystal is a much more assured defender too than Jenna Niswanger is. As much as she offers in the attack, but Crystal also offers that, you know, kind of same thing in the attack. So she kind of just made that calculation and it's a safer play. Yeah, but I think she's had a great tournament so far.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think there's a lot of U.S. players that you could say have had a great tournament so far. And I think the flashiest of it has been that the front three is, this is an understatement, firing. Sophia Smith, Mallory Swanson, and Trinity Rodman have all been lights out this entire tournament. They've been scoring goals for fun, and they all look decidedly on the same page, where it is so fluid, the three of them playing together. Rose is playing fucking wonderfully, which is awesome to be able to link up with those three. And it's really, really nice to have all of them scoring because that's what we were struggling with during the send-off games. I think that there's been moments where we've had a lot more space than we saw in the send-off games, and then we were tested a lot more against Australia, who really wanted to sit back. And I'll be curious to see how Japan plays us like that, or how they play us in the quarterfinals. But we've definitely been threatening in transition, but then also been able to score goals when a team wants to back up and play defensively, which is good. You want your team, especially a really, really good team, to be able to find different ways to score goals, which is what the U.S. has so far.
Yeah, talking about that front three and maybe the Germany game in particular, it was kind of like finally my expectations and maybe the belief of their potential finally kind of like met reality. It felt like the clock had been rolled back even, like that I was watching, you know, the team that I had grown up with and known forever as, you know, the kind of dominant team that they are, the kind of goals that they were scoring, like to get that second goal, like like just battling defenders to get her shot off and Mal like following that shot up. It was just like I feel like you never see that even like someone following a shot. It was just like gritty. It showed their strength, even though they're also so technical. But yeah, the fluidity and like Trinity owned that right flank against Germany. Like that was on all day for her. Her like work ethic. It was just like a dream. And I think we're finally, again, maybe an attack that people are going to fear. But also, I think that might go against us a little bit, in that they'll maybe sit back and have to, you know, alter their game plans for us. But yeah, I think everyone's trying to, for some reason, come up with a name for the front three. I see everyone putting in their I don't know, votes for that. I haven't seen any good options. Mitch,
I feel like do you
have a name? Do you have a name for them?
Yeah, SSR. Let's go. I do feel like the typical like front three name is just the initials of the players typically. Like the one that comes to mind to me and like the most iconic front three, at least in my brain, is MSN of Messi, Neymar, Suarez. And I don't know, if it ain't broke, keep going with that formula. I don't think they need a name.
No, I don't think they need a name either, but it's been like an obsession of everyone. Well, the last probably iconic front line was Alex Morgan, Megan Rapinoe, and Tobin Heath, which was very easily ATM. Like, that's perfect.
When you got like an initial that just like works together like that, like you have to go with that.
I saw someone call them Rod Smithson, which I think is like funny at least.
It's funny. It's not good.
It's not good, but I haven't seen any good ones. People are trying to go like really like the trifecta, the triumvirate.
I think they gotta earn that. I think a little bit more.
That's true. Maybe at the end of the tournament, if things pan out well, they can have a real name.
So, ideally they just like all of them score the same amount of goals. We win gold medal. They share the golden boot. And then there's the Golden Girls. And then you're cooking with that.
Wait,
and you've just got.
Well, I think the only problem with that is that Simone Biles dubbed their team gold winning at gymnastics the Golden Girls because it's the oldest.
Fuck, I knew it was too good for me to have come up with it.
That in the
It was too good for me to have come up with it, and that is exactly why.
Yeah.
God damn it! We couldn't let me be creative for like 2 seconds. I stole it from someone on accident.
You were like, if only Trinity was from Colorado, we'd really have something.
Yeah, right. You just teed up an opportunity for me to say that Colorado has scored more goals than any other state the last 2 major tournaments by a landslide, a hefty margin. Because we have 3 players on the team that have scored a lot of goals in the World Cup and Olympics. I think we're going to go from here into the state of the squad at this current moment. Because I think it's interesting, we talked a lot in the lead up to this tournament about how small the roster is. And I think we're seeing a little bit of, okay, maybe it isn't that small. Maybe the alternates truly are just part of the squad because we've seen multiple injuries at this point. Jaden Shaw has yet to make a team. So Corey Bethune has been on all 3 game day squads. And then Tierna Davidson got injured. Emily Sonnet's come in for, but then we've also brought up, who did we bring up?
Emily Sams.
Emily Sams into the squad. She hasn't played yet, but she's been in the team.
Yeah.
And then Lynn Williams, who was originally an alternate before Kat Macario got hurt, has played a big role. She scored the dagger against Germany. And also, I gotta add, talking about Lynn Williams, the leg sleeve, sick as fuck. Like, the one sleeve is rad.
Isn't it nice when you have an injury and you have to wear something, but it's like, it makes you look like pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same effect as like when they break the nose and they gotta wear the mask.
Right.
I know Mbappe was like complaining about it, of like, oh, I can't see, but like Victor Osimhen made it work for a long time of like looking sick as hell wearing a mask while playing.
Like, I'm sorry, it makes you look like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, but other people can pull it off.
Everyone else looks cool, and Lynn looks cool as shit with the leg sleeve. And even when she is done nursing an injury on that, she should keep rocking it, because imagine the teal leg sleeve with the all black Gotham shirt or jersey. Like, that's just gonna look awesome.
I don't know if they make teal, but we'll look into it.
She's a professional athlete. She can have Nike make her a teal thing. Come on. All she's got to do is go to the Nike and be like, hey, wouldn't this be cool? And they're like, yeah, you're totally right. And they will make her a teal leg sleeve. They've got to. Anyway, sorry, got off track about talking about the state of the squad right now. Tierna Davidson injured. Emily Sonnet has come in and played pretty decent in reserve for her. We will be without Sam Coffey on a yellow card suspension for the Japan game, which personally I'm very scared about, because I don't think there isn't a 1-to-1 Sam Coffey in this team. The most like player is probably Emily Sonnet, but we're playing her at center back. I think most likely what happens is Corbin Albert starts against Japan. I know that is not your favorite option.
No.
Although I do have to say her goal against Australia was pretty sick, and it ended up being the winner.
Okay. Just because you can
right.
score, and just because you can score that goal does not mean you can play defensive midfield.
I fully agree. Yeah. I don't think she's a 1-for-1 for Sam Coffey at all. She's not.
This is where I'm very worried. I was frustrated in general at the lack of rotation from Emma Hayes in this third game. I don't think Sam Coffey would have been a player that would have been rotated, and
she literally can't be.
Yeah, getting a yellow card in the 4th fucking minute is not you're not planning for that, and that's probably shows a little bit her lack of experience on this stage. But I'm very worried. We don't know Tierna's whether she will be fit. We'll probably find out tomorrow, Friday, whenever this podcast comes out. So maybe y'all know before we do. But I think Tierna just being fit will solve the problem that we're worried about, because then Sonnet would be able to step in. She proved at the World Cup when she stepped in for the Sweden game that we're oh, this is maybe what we needed. So I think I would feel a lot better if she's able to do that. However, I think if Tierna's not fit, I still think we have another option besides bringing Corbin Albert. And that's Casey Kruger playing center back, which she's done plenty of times for club, and she has for country before, I think in 3-back situations. And we've played a little bit of a 3-back before, so maybe that's something that happens, although I don't really see that. That's kind of a major adjustment. But I think she's capable of playing center back. She's one of the best 1v1 defenders that we have. I think she would be able to do it. She's not going to take risks, especially when you have Naomi Girma next to her. I don't know. I don't feel too bad about that.
You can kind of put a lot of just solidly defensive players next to Naomi Girma, and they're going to be able to do well because they're next to Naomi Girma. And I will say that and this is a generalization, I'm more confident playing a player that's not a center back next to Girma in a game like Japan as opposed to a game like Zambia, because they're not going to be going up against someone who's like Barbara Banda.
Yeah. I would prefer Casey, even though she's not a center back, probably to Emily Sams, even though she's been a standout in the league this year at playing that position. Just because I think the communication aspect of being that green is probably lacking. We kind of saw it at the end of that Australia game with Sonnet and Alyssa Nair just not being on the same page just for a minute, and Alana Kennedy nearly equalizing. So I think that's what I would go with. I don't know what Emma's gonna do because she seems fucking fine with fucking Corbin Albert, but
I wouldn't be shocked if it was Sonnet at center back and Corbin Albert coming in, and that would be a little concerning because I don't think Corbin Albert can play as a lone 6 the way that Sam Coffey has. And if she can't do that, then either she's going to be very exposed playing as a lone 6, or you're going to force Haran to play deeper, which she doesn't want to do. We've played 4-3-3.
That's not.
We've been fully playing a 4-3-3. Sam Coffey has been a lone 6, and Haran and Lavelle have both been playing high. And it's worked really well when you have someone who can play on a lone 6 like Sam Coffey can. But the unfortunate thing is it's not really any fault of Emma Hayes for not having someone directly behind Sam Coffey, because lone 6 is literally the hardest role in soccer. Yeah. I fully believe that it is one of the hardest roles to play in soccer. And it's something that when you have someone great that can do that, it's awesome and it allows you a lot of flexibility. But when you don't, it makes things a lot more difficult, and you're going to have to compromise. We're probably going to have to see more of a double pivot against Japan. And if we want to win the game, we've got to commit to that.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's just like win this game is the mission, however you do
For sure.
it. So it just makes me nervous though, because Japan, they're a very good team. On both sides of the ball. They have given Spain their probably hardest games. Maybe not this last match, but we've seen how dangerous they can be, and how technical they are. So I'm nervous.
Yeah, I don't think it's a downer mentality to be nervous. It's a knockout game in a major tournament. That is a natural thing, and we're missing a key cog in the team. Sam Coffey has gone from not in the national team picture to one of our most important players in 12 months. It's genuinely astounding how fast she's rose from that, and it's fucking awesome. She's an amazing player, and she will be sorely missed against Japan. And it's kind of by any means necessary. We just got to get through. Do the yellow card suspension things carry into the quarterfinal? Like, is Trinity Rodman still in yellow card danger potentially?
I would have to actually look it up, but it would be so fucking stupid if she was.
I've seen a lot of yellow card suspension things in international tournaments are often stupid, so I wouldn't be surprised if she's still in trouble.
2 yellows for 3 games. I'm just like, come on. Especially the position that you play, just like, be serious. But yeah, I think if you zoom out from like where we are, like we said, we had no really idea how we were going to perform in this tournament. So I just have to be feeling positive about the progress that we've seen on this like stage in big games. Considering that I wasn't super positive, and especially like with Emma Hayes, what she has been able to do in such a short amount of time. Like, you just have to think, like, the depth piece is that other piece to go, and she's gonna be able to do that in the next few years before World Cup, because she'll be able to create that pool. So that's a positive that's a positive thought. No matter what happens on Saturday, we obviously have the capability to win the game without Sam Coffey. It's just going to be really tricky, I think.
Yep, for sure. And especially with how Japan wants to play. So it could be a tough game, but looking forward to it. This U.S. team is not just Sam Coffey. There's so much talent on this team. And I will say one last note before we move on to something else. I'm really sad for Jaden Shaw that she's like struggled with an injury through the group stage, didn't get to play at all. On the inverse, I'm very happy for Croy Bethune. She got to play, make her national team debut in a fucking international tournament is crazy. Oh, I guess she played a little bit in the send-off games.
She did, yeah.
But like true debut in an Olympics, pretty fucking awesome. She's deserved that.
And she did well.
She's been so good. Yeah, it's been great.
And I think she met the moment. So I kind of had, it was probably a long shot that she was going to, I think a lot of people thought Emma was going to rotate. So I kind of thought maybe Croy will get a start, because Rose is definitely one of those players that I would have chosen to get some rest. So yeah, tired legs as well going into Saturday. So it's just
I don't, it's a two-edged thing, because it's like I don't blame a same lineup, because you're just like, well, we want to set a tone, we want to win the group. If we win 3 out of 3, then we're riding high momentum going into the next round, and we're not like, oh, well, we drew 1-1 with a rotated team against Australia, and I guess we'll putter on to the next game. Like, we're carrying momentum from a win.
The thing is that we would have won the group with a draw. Although Australia did not deserve to go through, and if we had drawn them, they would have. So I'm like very happy that we did beat them, because you cannot bring this bullshit maniac soccer to an international tournament and then be like, their fans were so, and we'll talk about that when we're talk about Canada, but Canada moving through meant Australia not. So their fans were like so butthurt about Canada moving through when obviously they were cheating. But Australia, like, play real soccer and then maybe talk to us.
I mean, they rolled up to their third game where they needed a draw to get out, and they tried to play for a fucking 0-0 draw, and that's sad. Go for a win.
They're like, sorry that we were so unserious in our first two matches that we had to park the bus from the beginning.
Yeah. One more thing on the U.S.-Australia game, because I just remembered it happening, and I said we would talk about it, was the VAR shambles in the first half from Trinity's goal. Trinity scores. Sam Coffey is in an offside position. She's not blocking anyone's view. In a normal circumstance, this VAR check takes 2 seconds, and we're on with the match. Instead, we had a bunch of technical difficulties. I think the ref couldn't hear the VAR. He ended up watching it on like a little phone, which was weird to see.
He didn't watch it on the phone, actually. The phone was kind of like
just communications?
It was like an old-fashioned cell phone, like from the 90s or something. That was just him talking to the VR where they're like, oh, take a look. Then he walked back to the TV where he saw it, where he didn't take much time at all, and he stuck to his decision. What was funny about the whole situation, you saw Tony Gustafsson like losing his mind on the touchline, because at first they're like, well, we can't watch it, so I guess it's going to be a goal. And then they were like, oh, we can watch it, whatever. But apparently when he was yelling at him, Meg Linehan on the Athletic Full-Time podcast was talking about what Tony said in the mix zone. He was like trying to tell the ref, they're calling you. You have to answer. You have to answer. You have to talk to them. Because it seemed like they were just going to let it go. It was like, no. So that's funny. But I did notice, I was like, he's really losing his mind.
I get it from an Australian perspective, because the goal stood without a check. I think you'd have a right to be mad, because you can just point and be like, well, maybe it should have been called off. But it shouldn't have been. Like, Sam Coffey was not in the line of sight. She was not involved in the play whatsoever. It was the right call to keep the goal standing. But very weird VAR tournament so far. Let's quickly, before we get out of here, talk about our friends up north and their messy bullshit from this tournament. I gotta shout out a friend of the show, Jeff Reuter's article in The Athletic talking about Canada and how the Federation just keeps kind of failing them, because it is not the players' fault that they are in these kinds of positions. Like the Federation pulling or like the government pulling funding from the Federation, and the Federation not backing the players is exactly the things wrong with the Canadian Federation, and this goes on the men's and women's side. And it's sad to see them like this, especially when there's so much talent on both the men and women's teams, because the players didn't deserve this. The players truly fucking earned their way into the fucking knockouts, though, because they won 3 games and got 3 points from it because of a 6-point deduction from the drone spying thing, which is truly impressive, and credit to the players in all aspects. But what the fuck are we doing? Drone spying? I do love Midge Purse's quote on it, which is cheat better. What are we doing?
No,
what do you think, Emily?
It's just like where to begin. Well, what was so funny, like the drip of this story is just really funny, because it comes out because they're spying on New Zealand, who anyone who knows in women's soccer, like New Zealand are only here because the confederation that they play in, there's like no teams, and they're not good. So we were all like, you're fucking spying on New Zealand? Like, you don't have the confidence. And I've been so down on Canada for a long time because, and as I've said before, and probably on this podcast, them winning the Olympics, I thought was a tragedy of football. And this is where the cheating kind of comes into play, because there's really no open play goals. They win their quarterfinals and final game on penalty kicks, which the goalkeeper, Steffel Bay, was like, I watched all this video, blah, 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 like whatever. But I mean, you do have staff telling you numbers, like they go this way this many times. So, and how are you getting those numbers? And this is what we say, like the players, they're not cheaters, but they're getting fed information that can benefit them and give them advantage, unfortunately, if they knew it or not. And that has to be disciplined. The 6-point deduction, I guess, fair enough. Their coach getting a year suspension, and we can talk about her drafting an email up to HR because the guy that they wanted to use as a spy didn't want to be a spy, and they're like, yeah, I don't know. Tell me what to do because he seems to be putting this in a formal way on purpose. But everybody does this. All top 10 teams do this, which we can talk about because Tyler Adams also went on the Cooligans podcast and said everybody does do this. But I do think there's a difference. His example of sending someone in, they're like kind of scoping out things. Is there a difference between that and filming training sessions with a drone?
I 100% think there's like a difference between like sending a staffer to go like watch a team's practice if they can. It's different than like, it depends on how available it is. Like if they're hiding in a bush, they're doing something wrong. They shouldn't be doing that. If it's like they're training in an open stadium, like and you go to the stadium and you're like watching, like I don't know, like Crystal Palace was just training like on a college campus for a preseason game. Hypothetically, anyone can go watch that. And if like a staffer for another team, like obviously this is for a preseason friendly, so it's a little bit different. But if like a staffer for another team goes and just sits down and watches, yeah, they're in their rights to do that. But if you're hiding in bushes with a drone or just like taking notes from a bush, like I don't think that's right, and I truly think it's unnecessary. Especially just in the modern game.
For sure.
There is so much fucking information to get that you can get so easily. Every single top team has a Y Scout account. Every single top team has access to archives upon archives upon archives of every single penalty kick Bukayo Saka has taken is on video, and every goalkeeper can go watch that. That's how you get that information, not from practice. You get it from like where they're going in a game. That's the actual usable information. So it makes no sense to risk your job, your federation's integrity, and your players' reputations on meaningless information, if we're being completely honest. Nothing that a team does in training is going to be as useful to you as information as than what they're doing in a game, unless they're deciding to do something drastically tactically different than you've ever seen. And even if that happens, most teams won't be able to execute that well because they won't have the practice of doing it. So there's like genuinely no fucking point in doing this. And Canada has tanked their entire federation's reputation on meaningless information that they didn't need, which is got to be the most frustrating part for Canadian fans and players and anyone following this situation.
Yeah. In the women's game, it's like these are the same teams you see year after year. There's really nothing to be gained here. It's so crazy. It's so embarrassing. And I really feel like they've tried to spin it, and it's helpful with the women like actually winning their games. Like they've tried to spin it as like they're like kind of the victims here, which maybe the players are. But I'm like, we shouldn't be celebrating like this. Wow. This hardship story of Canadian soccer.
You're more of a hater than me because the wounds from Tokyo are still coming through. But I've
always been a Canada hater.
I'm fully going to give the players a lot of credit for for making it out of the group despite this.
Sure, I just mean
digging out of a 6-point hole is crazy.
I just mean like the narrative. The narrative.
For sure.
And the Federation is spinning it too. So that's just what I mean, really. And what's hilarious is that they've played much better, scored more goals in this tournament post Bev Priestman and post, this drone gate, than they did in the last Olympics. So it's just like it's bizarre. But maybe you don't need to. Yeah, you maybe don't need to cheat.
You really don't. And that's where we're going to end it on this episode of covering the Olympics. Hopefully the U.S. men beat Morocco tomorrow, and the women are victorious against Japan on Saturday. And we will try and talk to you guys after those games. Peace.
Peace.
Take your shirt off. Take your shirt off.